I live my life purpose not only by doing what I love, but by loving what I do. In today's episode, we're going to explain this insight in more detail and what it means and how we can apply it to our lives. In his book, So Good They Can't Ignore You, Cal Newport says the following quote, "Don't follow your passion, rather let it follow you in your quest to become, in the words of my favourite Steve Martin quote, so good that they can't ignore you." End quote. I really like this quote because it goes against the main narrative that we've all been taught, which is to just follow your passion. You know, if someone says to you, what's your purpose in life? You know, what are you passionate about? Just follow your passion and go after your life purpose and do the thing that's most important to you. I've always felt stumped at this question because I've always thought, well, I don't really know what it is I want to do. I mean, I could, I could write something interesting, like write a play or a script, or I could write a novel, or I could sing something, or I could teach people things, or I could act in a certain way. I could do acting or something, or I could do, or for other people it might be maybe they want to be a scientist. Part of them wants to be a scientist, but another part of them wants to be a lawyer, or maybe one part of them wants to travel and another part of them wants to have a family or something, and maybe that's what's purposeful to them. And so this question of passion and how to create passion and love in life isn't really an easy one, because people say just follow your passion as if it's an easy thing to do, but most of us don't really know what it is that we're passionate about and how to find what we're passionate about. Well, what I like about this quote by Cal Newport is he says, well, instead of following your passion or trying to discover your passion or find it somewhere, just don't worry about it for now. Just for now, let your passion follow you in your quest to become this person who is so good that they can't ignore you. So the people, let's say it could be organizations or companies or people or customers or people who are paying you, will not be able to ignore you if you develop to a certain skill level. You need to develop to a certain skill level, and once you reach this skill level, then you'll become that good at what you do. Consider the following things. Your life doesn't have to be about doing what you love all the time. You can actually end up loving it by consciously improving your skill level at what you do. So it's something that you can, as I said, you can end up loving just through getting better at what you do. It's not really the case that you just immediately love everything you do. In fact, if you're like me and most people, you probably hate what you do sometimes. It's very boring, it's very monotonous. Maybe you have a job which is, you feel like there are good things about it, but then also very monotonous things about it. And there are things which you can't really be bothered with, things which you are bored about because you repeat it every single day. And it can get a little bit stale, and it can get to a point where you're going through the motions in your day, and your life sort of ends up losing its energy or losing its vitality. Well, that's where this whole idea of loving what you do can come in handy, really, because if we consciously try to love what we do and put love into what we do, rather than constantly trying to search for something else out there that we love, we develop love within us. It sort of grows. So what I mean by this is that usually love isn't something you spontaneously have. we don't usually have love for something immediately. We might just maybe like it, maybe, or be interested in it, but we never really initially love it. Loving is something that often comes through development. It's something you grow, it's something you cultivate and develop through perhaps this term that Cal Newport came up with in the same book I mentioned earlier, So Good They Can't Ignore You. This term, deliberate practice, right? So through deliberately practicing every day and getting better and better at something, you can actually develop a love for it just through the process of actually increasing your skill level at a thing. So here are some takeaways. Here are some things I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself the following question. What are some things I do every day? For example, these could be cleaning the dishes or doing my job, whatever your job is, okay? Or even something like doing the laundry or going grocery shopping, okay? So maybe you can make a list of these things or just maybe choose one, okay? And whenever you maybe feel stuck on something you do, let's say you really hate cleaning the dishes or something, or you really hate doing your job right now, ask yourself the following question. How could I bring more love into this thing I do? So examples could be focus more attention and mindfulness on it as I do it. This is a very common one. You could just simply, instead of being distracted while you do it, or maybe instead of listening to music or maybe watching TV while you do it or something, try to just focus on it 100% with 100% awareness and just focus on the thing you do. And notice how when you're cleaning the dishes, how do the dishes feel in my hand? How does the soapy water, the warm soapy water feel in my hand? What do the dishes feel like as I wash them? And maybe does it feel good to clean something that was quite dirty and just make it nice and clean so that it's ready to use next time? Okay? So bring attention to those things, mindfulness to those things. That might actually, in itself, make you begin to love the activity a bit more than you did when you were just on autopilot trying to finish it and get it done. Because you wanted to move on quickly onto the next thing. Another example of an answer to this question, how could I bring more love into this thing I do? You could say, well, study how to do it better and practice doing it better. I mean, maybe not for cleaning the dishes, but for something like your job, something which requires skill, perhaps, to do better and better and better. Study, read a book on how you can do your job better and just practice doing it better. Like, this happened to me recently. I'm an English teacher, and sometimes I get a bit frustrated with my job. It's not always something that I love doing all the time. But then again, sometimes I do love doing doing English teaching. I do love doing English teaching, actually. I really love it because there are times when I put effort and attention into the lessons I create, particularly when I create the lessons and I put lots of work into it, and I come up with, say, an activity that the students really like doing, and I do that activity with the students and they really enjoy it, and I actually feel good after doing that. I feel like I really love doing English teaching just in that moment, in that small moment when I put effort into an activity or something that I'm doing with my teaching. I actually love it more. So here's an example. I actually thought thought about this insight, love what you do, and I remembered, okay, I need to love what I do. That's how I can enjoy my job more, because I felt that my job was getting a little bit stale. I felt like my enjoyment with my job was getting a bit stale. So I thought, okay, how do I love what I do? How do I love English teaching? Okay, I could read a book on English teaching. So I did. I found a book a friend of mine had shared with me, and I just started reading it. It was a book about activities, like how to do certain English activities in a lesson. Just ideas for activities that I could try out in a lesson. And there was this one which was get to know each other. It was just literally the first activity idea in the book, and it seemed like the simplest one to try out. And it didn't require much preparation. All it required was me to grab a tiny piece of paper, scrunch it up into a ball, and then basically what we would do is at the beginning of the lesson, when all the students came in, because the students don't know each other very well, it's like a learning centre. We get lots of different students coming in, so they don't really know each other's names very well. And so I thought I could remedy this by playing this learning each other's names game. I would throw this ball to somebody, to another student. We'd all gather around in a circle. I'd throw it to the student on the left. I would say my name, George, and throw it to them. And then they would say my name and their name. Then that person would pass it to the next person, and that next person would say my name, their name, and their name, until eventually it got all the way around the circle and we were all saying each other's names. And the students loved this. They really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say, they didn't burst out with joy in terms of loving it, but you could tell they were enjoying it a lot more than if we had simply just sat down and I had taken maybe a boring list of their names, and then the students wouldn't have even known each other's names, and they wouldn't have felt involved in the lesson. And I can tell you, the entire energy of the lesson went from down here all the way to up here because of this small activity that I had done. I was really amazed by the effect that just something as simple as reading a book, or just showing a little bit of interest in my job, could actually make me enjoy my job a lot more. And I'm quite excited to continue with this insight further, and that's why I've decided to share with you this insight of do what you love in today's episode. I don't want it to be a long episode. I just wanted to share with you this insight, and I think that you can really take it away and do something really good with it. But before we finish, just a couple of points. So yeah, one way that you can bring more love into the thing you do is to study how to do it better, and then practice doing it better, like the way that I just started trying to do. But of course, for me, of course, and for you guys and for everyone, there's a lot more work we can do to put, as Cal Newport and his concept says, deliberate practice into what we do, right? So putting deliberate practice into what we do, it's going to take time and effort, but that's how we develop a love for what we do. And of course, the last point could be maybe just create a plan for getting better at it. Okay, that could be another way to bring more love into the thing you do. This could be a more long-term plan. So how am I going to improve it? Maybe I'm going to introduce one new activity every week into my lessons, if I'm an English teacher, for example. But you can create a plan for whatever you do, whatever your job is. You just create a plan for it, okay? And you do the same thing. You might be thinking, okay, so what if I really hate what I do? What if I really, really hate what I do and I can't possibly think of any way to bring love into what I do? Well, you have two options. And I don't even know if this is an option for everyone, but you have two options, right? You can either stop doing what you do. So maybe if you're able to quit your job and try a different job, and that can be a good option for for many people in a certain context. That can be a good option for you to do, depending on your personal situation. But for many people, maybe a lot of people are stuck in a job because they have to earn money doing what they do. They need to survive, and they're using their jobs to survive and to earn money. And a lot of people don't have the luxury to simply say, oh, I'll just like experiment with new jobs and try different things out. For some people, that's not the best move. And so for them, and for these guys, if you're one of these guys, you need to practice doing what you do better. Maybe put deliberate practice into what you do. Even if you hate it now, there must be a way. Whatever job it is, I can't, I'm just thinking of most common jobs in my mind. Whatever job it is, you can bring more love into this job. There are ways to do it. And that's why I'm encouraging you to ask yourself this question: how could I bring more love into this thing I do? And I'm excited to share this insight with you. I'm excited to share this exercise with you. And I really hope that you guys take this exercise, all of you, that you take this exercise and that you use it to bring more love into the activities that you do every day. Whether you love them, like them, or even hate them. I challenge you, especially with the things that you hate doing, because that's where the real challenge is. See if you can bring more love into what you do, instead of trying to always do what you love and trying to search for the ethereal thing out there that you think that you love. Try to just bring love into the thing you do. I think that's probably a really good way to bring vitality into your life. So, thanks for watching today's episode. I'll see you again next time.